In reading today, we are going to start by finding a collection of books on epic. I'm going to show you first. You are looking and listening, and then you will have some time to explore the books today. So to find a collection on epic, you need to go to Clever. Then you will go to epic. You are listening and looking first. You're not doing it with me right now. Boys and girls, your Chromebook is closed right now. That was the direction. I need students listening first. Oscar, close your Chromebook so that you're listening first. Then you'll join our class. If you are new to Mrs. Rinaldi's class, I might need to help you get in. I'll do that once we get started. You will find your name. I'm going to use Alicia for an example. And when you sign into Epic, you will see that I made an assignment for you. Today, we're going to explore books all about the Asian culture. Asia is a continent in our world. There's lots of different countries in this continent. So today, you're going to explore these books by clicking on the collection. When you open the collection, I want you to find some books that are interesting to you. We have books about different foods from these countries. We have books about the different countries. We have some fiction stories. And some other interesting things like some read to me books that are some fiction stories, okay? So for the first part of ELA today, I want you just to explore different books about Asia and these different kinds of countries. Then we're going to come back together and do a fun activity to help celebrate Asian culture. Yes, Maberly.
The dragon culture is something where you actually live. Like, for example, if you live in a state that is all Spanish or all English, you will just be talking
right. So we've talked about culture before. Culture is things we think, clothes we wear, food we eat, traditions and holidays we have. Culture is lots of different things that make communities what we are. Yes, Nick. Gloria. I cannot hear Gloria.
I know, like, when people get married, they want me to, like, to let other people.
Gloria has some background knowledge on the country called India and some of their culture traditions that they might do when they get married. Other questions? Landon? Okay, thank you. Angela?
Are there, like, driving in New Year?
I'm not sure what's in here, but I think if you explore the books, you might find the answer to your question. Okay, so I'm going to give you 15 minutes to start exploring. You may go find this collection on Epic and start exploring a book that you want to read. Make sure headphones are plugged in, that you're choosing books that you are interested in. You may begin. All right, we've had some time to explore our Epic books about Asian culture. So now we're going to watch a quick video that will give you some really good pictures about the continent of Asia. Remember, Asia is a huge continent, and then there's lots of different countries in it. Who can name some of the countries that you read about on Epic? What's a country inside Asia, Landon? So China is one country in Asia. What's a different one than China?
I just told you it's like 2.8 million.
So many people there, right?
Yeah.
Kaylee, what did you read about?
The one that she was looking at.
Vietnam. We read about Vietnam and the food there. Nick? Japan is a different country. Honesty. So Mexico is not in Asia. Mexico is a different country, but it's not in Asia. That's in South America. Oscar? South Korea. So Asia is a huge continent, but there's lots of different countries to learn about. So here we're going to watch this video together. I want you looking for things that you think are really cool and interesting about Asian people and where they come from, which is the continent of Asia.
Maybe you've heard of it. I sure hope so, because you live on one of its 7 continents. The largest of all the continents is Asia. Asia makes up 1/3 of all the land on Earth. You'll experience all types of weather if you travel here, with the wide range of climate regions. In Southeast Asia, you'll need a bathing suit on the beaches of the Philippines and an umbrella for the tropical heat and rain in Vietnam. But bundle up when heading north to Siberia to survive the Arctic winds and snow. Then gear up and head to Nepal to climb the highest point in the world, Mount Everest. Over 29,000 feet above sea level, Mount Everest is still growing, nearly 1/4 of an inch each year. On the other side of Asia, in Israel and Jordan, here you'll find the lowest point on dry land, the Dead Sea. It's over 1,000 feet below sea level. It's so salty, you float on the water like a rubber ducky. After some rest and relaxation, set off to see some of the most legendary animals of the world. Giant pandas, king cobras, the Komodo dragon, the Asian elephant, and tigers. Wild orangutans are only found in Asia on the islands of Borneo and Sumatra. Thousands of species are spread across this massive continent, but it's also home to humans. Over 4 billion of them. That's right, that's a billion with a B. Asia has more people than all of the other continents combined. They're living in over 40 countries. 2 of its largest countries are China and India, with populations of over 1 billion people. That's a lot of people. Of the 10 largest cities in the world, Asia has 7 of them. Of the 10 tallest buildings in the world, Asia has 9 of them. Of the 10 largest shopping malls in the world, Asia has all of them. From western Turkey to the eastern tip of Russia, the largest continent spans nearly half the world. It's filled with some of the most unique sights, beautiful landscapes, and amazing wildlife that can only be found in Asia.
We have learned more about the continent, and we've learned that there's lots of different countries inside of Asia. We also know that here in our country, in the United States of America, we have people from all over the world. We have learned about immigration. We have learned that people sometimes move to a different country. So there are Asian people that were born here in our country. There was also Asian people that immigrated. They were born in Asia and they moved to the United States.
Oh.
So if you meet somebody who's Asian, they maybe were born here, like some of us, or maybe they were an immigrant and they moved here, like some of us. Okay? So it's really important that you show kindness, that you show empathy to people that don't look like you. We have talked about this before, that the color of our skin is important, that we show kindness even when somebody does not look like us, if their language is different than us, if their food and clothes are different than us. we still show kindness. Okay. Our next video is a story about an Asian girl whose family were immigrants and they moved to a new country. Okay, so next we're going to watch and learn and see if we can practice empathy. Can we feel what she's feeling when she's a new student?
Yeah.
Can you imagine what that would be like? I want you thinking about empathy today as we listen to this story. This story is called The Name Jar, and it's about an Asian girl and her family. Let's show focused attention. I hope you enjoyed this story as much as I do.
Hi guys, today I'm going to read The Name Jar. It was written by Yang Suk Chae, and it's a really good story, so I think you guys are going to like it. Through the school bus window, Yoonhae looked out at the strange buildings and houses on the way to her new school. It was her first day, and she was both nervous and excited. She fingered the little block of wood in her pocket and remembered leaving her grandmother at the airport in Korea. Her grandmother had wiped away Yoonhae's tears and handed her an ink pad and a small red satin pouch. "Your name is inside," she had said. "My name?" Yoonhae had wondered. Again she took out the red pouch to look at the wooden block with her name carved in it. As she ran her fingers along the grooves and ridges of the Korean characters, she pictured her grandmother's smile. "Is that thing for show and tell?" a boy asked Yoonhae, surprising her. Yoonhae looked up as more kids leaned over. "No, it's mine," Yoonhae answered, quickly putting the pouch back in her pocket. "Are you new here? What's your name?" a girl asked. "Yoonhae," said Yoonhae. "Oonhae?" the girl asked, scrunching up her face. "Ooh, ooh, Oonhae," some kids chanted. "No, no," Yoonhae corrected. "It's spelled Unhei. It's pronounced Yoonhae." "Oh, it's you, hey," the boy said. "Like you, hey. What about hey you?" Just then, the bus pulled up to the school and the doors opened. Yoonhae hurried to get off. "You hey, bye-bye," the kids yelled as she left. Yoonhae felt herself blush. Yoonhae stood in the doorway of her new and noisy classroom. She was relieved that the kids on the bus had gone to other rooms, but her face still felt red. "Aren't you going in?" asked a curly-haired boy with lots of dots on his face. "You're the new girl, right?" he asked cheerfully. Yoonhae nodded, and before she could walk away, the boy took her hand and pulled her through the door. "Here's the new girl," he announced so loudly that the teacher, Mr. Kokotos, almost dropped his glasses. Mr. Kokotos thanked him and greeted Yoonhae. "Please welcome our newest student," he said to the class. She and her family just arrived from Korea last week. Yoonhae smiled broadly and tried not to show her nervousness. "What's your name?" someone shouted. Yoonhae pictured the kids on the bus. I haven't picked one yet," she told the class, "but I'll let you know by next week." As Mr. Kokotos showed her to her desk, she felt many round, curious eyes on her. "Why doesn't she have a name?" she heard someone whisper. "Maybe she robbed a bank in Korea and needs a new identity," a boy replied. On the bus home, nobody teased her, but Yoonhae kept thinking about her name. "How was school, Yoonhae?" her mother asked when she walked in. "Did you understand the teacher?" Yoonhae simply nodded. She unpacked her school bag and set the red pouch by a photograph of her grandma. "I'm glad you are learning English well," her mother said. "You must study hard, behave nicely, and get good grades to show that you're a good Korean." "I will," replied Yoonhae. But what I think I would like my own American name," she said quickly. Her mother looked at her with surprise. "Why? Yoonhae is a beautiful name. Your grandma and I went to a name master for it." "But it's so hard to pronounce," Yoonhae complained. "I don't want to be different from all the American kids." "You are different, Yoonhae," her mother said. "That's a good thing." Yoonhae just wrinkled her nose. Later that day, Yunhei and her mother went grocery shopping in their new neighborhood. They passed Fadil's Falafel, Tony's Pizza, and Dot's Deli. A big graffiti-painted garbage truck roared like a lion as it took off down the street. Nothing sounded or looked familiar until they got to Kim's Market. The sign was in both English and Korean. Her mother picked up cabbage to make kimchi, Korean-style spicy pickled cabbage, and other vegetables and meat. She also found some seaweed, Yunhei's favorite, for soup. It made Yunhei smile. Just because we've moved to America, her mother said, doesn't mean we stop eating Korean food. At the checkout counter, a friendly man smiled at Yunhei. Helping your mother with the shopping? He asked. Yunhei nodded. I'm Mr. Kim, he said. And what is your name? Yunhei, she answered. Ah, what a beautiful name, he said. Doesn't it mean grace? Yunhei nodded again. My mother and grandmother went to a name master for it, she told him. A graceful name for a graceful girl, Mr. Kim said, as he put their groceries into bags. Welcome to the neighborhood, Yunhei. That evening, Yunhei stood in front of the bathroom mirror. Hi, my name is Amanda, she said cheerfully. Then she wrinkled her nose. Hi, my name is Laura. Maybe not. Her smile turned down. Nothing sounded right. Nothing felt right. I don't think American kids will like me, she worried as she began to brush her teeth. Hi, my name is Suzy, she said to the mirror with her mouth full of toothpaste. The next morning when Yunhei arrived at school, she found a glass jar on her desk with some pieces of paper in it. Yunhei took one out and read it aloud. Daisy. That's my baby sister's nickname, but she said you can use it if you want, said Cindy, who sat next to her. Yunhei took out the rest of the paper. Tamala, she said. I got it from a storybook, said Nate. She was smart and brave. Yunhei nodded and unfolded another piece. Wednesday? Yeah, you came here on a Wednesday, said Ralph. Thank you for your help. A smile spread over Yunhei's face. Ralph quickly said, We'll put more names in it. You can pick whatever you like, or pick them all, and you'll have the longest name in history. At 3 o'clock, the bell rang for the end of the school day. Yunhei looked out the window and saw it was sprinkling. It's the same rain, she thought, but in a different place. She watched other kids leaving in groups. Hey, a familiar voice called out to her. Yunhei turned around to see the curly-haired boy again. I'm Joey, he said. And you? Don't you have any name? Yunhei thought for a moment. Well, I can show you, she said, and took out the small red pouch. She pressed the wooden block on the ink pad and then stamped it on a piece of paper. This is my name stamp, she said. My grandma gave it to me. In Korea, I can use it as a signature when I open a bank account or write a letter. And whenever I miss my grandma, I use it to fill a piece of paper. Want to try it? She offered the stamp to Joey, and he carefully inked the stamp and pressed it hard on the paper. The red characters gleamed against the whiteness. Wow, that's beautiful, Joey said. Can I keep the paper? Sure, Yunhei said. And then the two of them shared her umbrella as they walked to the school bus. Every day, the jar got fuller with more names, and Yunhei read them all. She found a few names she liked. Miranda, Stella, Avery. They sounded interesting. I hope you choose the name I put in, Marco told her at snack time. I've put in 3 more, said Ralph. Madison, Park, and Lex. They're my favorite street names. Maybe you should close your eyes and draw a name, Rosie suggested. Ralph frowned. That's silly. What if she doesn't like the name she draws? Well, we didn't get to choose our names when we were born, did we? Rosie argued. Everyone thought about this. When Yunhei got home from school that day, her little brother ran to give her a letter. It was from her grandma. She opened it quickly. It said, To my Yunhei, I know you are enjoying your new school and new friends. Be sure to help your mother and your little brother. Here the moon is up, but there the sun is up. No matter how far apart we are and no matter how different America is from Korea, you'll always be my Yunhei. Your grandma forever. Yunhei took out her wooden stamp and filled a paper with it. She thought for a long time in front of the bathroom mirror. On Saturday, Yunhei walked to Mr. Kim's store. Mr. Kim was helping a customer, but he looked up and greeted her. Hi, Yunhei. Hello, Mr. Kim, Yunhei replied. She felt as if she were back in her old neighborhood in Korea. Hey, said the customer, turning around. It was Joey. Your name is Eun-hee? He asked her with his eyes open wide. Yunhei looked quickly at Mr. Kim, then turned to Joey. She nodded slowly. Yes, it's pronounced Yunhei. And it means grace, Mr. Kim added. Yunhei, Joey said slowly, and this time perfectly. It made Yunhei smile. I'll have it ready for you tomorrow, said Mr. Kim to Joey. Thank you, Mr. Kim. See you Monday, Yunhei, Joey said to her. He left before she could ask him why he was at the store. On Monday, Yunhei came to class early to look at the names one last time. But the jar wasn't on her desk. Instead, there was a single piece of paper with a name on it. Yunhei slipped it in her pocket. Where's your name jar? Ralph asked as soon as he saw it was gone. I don't know, Yunhei said. It wasn't on Mr. Kokoto's desk or on any other desk, and it wasn't on the counters or any of the shelves. As other kids arrived, they helped look. Soon, Mr. Kokotos came in, and Ralph shouted at him, The name jar is gone, the jar with all the names in it. Gone? Mr. Kokotos replied. With a look of concern, he asked Yunhei, Did you get a chance to read all the names? Yunhei nodded. She took a breath. I'm ready to introduce myself, she said. Yunhei wrote her name in both English and Korean on the chalkboard. I liked the beautiful names and funny names you thought of for me, she told the class, but I realized that I liked my name best, so I chose it again. Korean names mean something. Yunhei means grace. Grace! Grace in he! Shouted Ralph. Everyone tried to say it. Yunhei, Eun-hee, Eun-hei. Yunhei said her name again slowly and clearly. Soon the kids began to say it better, even Mr. Kokotos. They applauded Yunhei's choice. I was named after a flower, Rosie whispered to Yunhei. Lots of American names have meanings too, Mr. Kokotos reminded everyone. When the class was dismissed, Yunhei heard her new friends say goodbye. Bye, Yunhei. See you tomorrow. Goodbye, Yunhei. Yunhei said goodbye and then looked around for Joey, but he was already gone. Yunhei, Yunhei, come downstairs, Mother called up to Yunhei. Your friend is here. Yunhei rushed down to see who she meant. There stood Joey, and in his arms was the name jar. Where did you find it? Asked Yunhei breathlessly. Joey looked embarrassed. Well, I took it, but only because I wanted you to keep your own name, and you did. He reached in and pulled out the names. Do you want to keep them? He asked. Thank you. I'll keep them as a souvenir, Yunhei said happily. Then she pulled out the piece of paper from her pocket. Do you want this back? Joey grinned. You can keep it. I'll return the name jar to the class. Maybe you could put some Korean nicknames in it for us. Names with good meanings. I could do that, agreed Yunhei. I've already got a Korean nickname, Joey said. Mr. Kim helped me choose it. Carefully, he pulled a small silver felt pouch from his pocket. Then he took out a dark wooden stamp with beautiful Korean characters carved sharply into it. He pressed it on the ink pad and then on the piece of paper next to her name. Chinku, read Yunhei. That means friend. And Chinku smiled back. The end. Okay, guys, so be on the lookout for the challenge question. Okay, bye.
All right. So quickly before we go, today your seesaw task is just a response to what we explored today. In your task, it's called Celebrating Asian Culture. You have 2 questions to answer to get you thinking about Asian culture and why it's special. For your independent work today, question number 1 says, what is something you think is cool about Asian culture? You can tell me as many things as you want. Slide number 2 says, what can we learn from people who are Asian? Today, that is your task for Seesaw. We're going to go ahead and end our Zoom now. I will be on at 10:30 for math. It's now your break time, and then you can practice those Asian questions on Seesaw.